If you're a student, a recent graduate, or if you have less than 2 years of full-time experience, you want to move to Japan with visa sponsorship, then this video is for you. Hi everyone, I am Shripriya, just your regular brown girl in Japan, and this is the second part of the job hunting series. Today we will be deep diving into the first pillar out of the 6 ways of how you can connect with a company in Japan. And today we're going to be talking about graduate programs. So what are graduate programs? Graduate programs or new graduate programs in Japan are these programs where companies hire for freshers, recent graduates, or anybody with less than 2 years of full-time experience. And usually a lot of these roles do not require any Japanese proficiency. In fact, they also offer training when you come to Japan, and usually there's a 6-month rotation program where they tell you everything about their company. The key criteria here is that you need to have less than 2 years of full-time experience. So your degree doesn't really matter. You can have a bachelor's or a master's or a PhD, and your salary might differ based on that, but all of you guys are eligible. They also provide visa sponsorship. So I know a lot of people who have actually come from India and now are working at these major Japanese companies. Okay, now that you know you are eligible, what is the application process? So there are 4 steps in the application process. The first one is the portal registration. All these company websites have a dedicated page for new graduate recruitment.
Let's say SOFTBANk. If you click on pre-entry here, this is just a main landing page. Let's click on pre-entry. This is the process of hiring for new graduate recruitment. It says here new graduate recruiting site also. The first one is pre-entry registration. You click on the pre-entry button and enter the required information. So then you will receive your My Page user ID and password. So then you will create your page where you need to apply for specific tracks and positions. There are different tracks. The first one is a generalist track where I think you can just apply for this one and they match you based on your skill set. If you want to apply for particular tracks such as a data science one, research and development, or solutions engineer, then I think you need to apply from here. And some non-tech positions are now closed, but you need to keep an eye when do they open up. The second step is the resume registration, application form and aptitude test. So once you clear the aptitude test, like for resume registration and application form, you would need to tell them why are you applying for a particular position and then take an aptitude test. Once this is done, then the third step is selection, where you have multiple interviews, and the last step is the job offer. So let's go ahead and click on, for instance, I want to apply for a data science course. This is the terms and conditions, so I've translated it to English, and this is the form. So let's input our information quickly. Okay, this is how you can actually register.
Okay, once your registration is done, then you are prompted to actually select 3 to 5 roles that you think are relevant to you and your motivation. So for every role, there's a question of why are you applying for this role, and you need to provide your motivation. Once you select the position and once you put in the motivation, these teams are going to review your application, and based on that, you might be prompted for an aptitude test. So this is the third step. Aptitude test can vary based on the position you're applying, but for IT or engineering roles, I had aptitude tests about English proficiency, about basic coding problems, about maths, stuff like that. And they are usually timed, I think 60 to 90 minutes. You need to complete that, and once you do submit, and if you do have a higher score, then we come to the last round, which is the interview round. So within the interview rounds, there are typically 2 rounds in my experience. The first one is like a general introduction round where they want to understand your motivation of applying to Japan, which team are you applying to, what are your skill sets, and then the second one is more like a technical deep dive with the team. So I think it would include the hiring manager, the other team members, and they're going to ask you some technical questions plus your strong motivation to join the team. In this case, I think they might also ask you, are you open to learning Japanese and why are you relocating to Japan? So in that case, never say no. You speak English, why do I need to learn Japanese? Don't say that. I mean, nothing on those lines. And I know it sounds very trivial, but when they asked me what are my plans for learning Japanese, I said, yeah, like we can communicate in English and then I am learning Japanese on the side. It sounds like English is my first priority and I'm not really open to learning Japanese. and I ended up getting rejected for this position. So you really need to do some practice on the cultural fit assessment, because Japanese companies are looking for people who want to stay here, who come here for long term, so you better make them believe it. Now let's come to a very important point, which is the timeline. So these companies actually hire 1 to 1.5 years before the joining date. Why is that? Because first, the interview process could take months. Second, if they're hiring international talent, then visa sponsorship and the paperwork takes a lot of time. So having said that, when do you start your search? You need to start your search 1 to 1.5 years before your graduation date. Or if you're a recent graduate, then you need to apply this year to be able to start your position next year. I missed that. For a lot of companies, I actually started looking at graduate programs 1 year before, but a lot of positions were already closed because they already hired some people back then. So what I'm trying to say here is that Japanese companies have multiple recruitment cycles and they hire in those cycles. But you need to be the early applicant. You need to apply from the first cycle and the get-go so that you have the maximum number of chances, you have the maximum number of positions available. Now let's talk about the companies that offer these graduate programs and how can you find these companies. So some popular companies within Japan that hire through these recruitment programs. So within tech and innovation, there's Rakuten Hitachi entity. Then for consulting and finance, you have Accenture, Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs pay a lot. And lastly, for manufacturing and automotive, there's Toyota and Sony. I think Sony also hires for IT engineers, so like machine learning roles. If you don't want to apply to any of these companies, if you have already applied and you just generally want to know what are all the companies that are hiring for graduate programs, then what I like to do is use Google, and within Google I try to search for new graduate companies Japan, or Japan fresh graduate recruitment, graduate trainee programs Tokyo, and stuff like that. So based on that, you have a list of all the companies that are hiring. I'm going to be sharing the links to all the major companies that offer recruitment programs in the description below, so you can check that out. And yeah, that's it for this video. If you like this video or if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below and I'll try my best to answer them in the upcoming videos. Lastly, I want to say graduate program is one of the most structured and easiest way for you to come to Japan. So if you really want to come to Japan, check the description below. Start applying now, start making a list of all the deadlines, and all the best. Okay, bye. I'm gonna see you in the next video.